I actually think it's quite exciting, and I think there's more opportunity for smaller brands, indie brands, beauty brands out there to be able to be sustainable for various reasons. They're agile, they can pivot quickly without it actually costing too much. They can be more experimental with their packaging. They can be more experimental with their ingredients, with their marketing campaigns. They're not bogged down by all this bureaucracy that these massive multinationals have.
Okay, so hello and welcome back to Nutricosmetics 2030 Sustainable Beauty Inside Out live event. I'm Matitz Batagel, your host. I'm a business strategist currently working as a marketing advisor for Tosla Nutricosmetics, as well as the co-host of the Nutricosmetics 2030 show that you just saw during the break. You saw a small glimpse into that. You can find it on YouTube and all streaming platforms, and we really discuss everything there from products, product development, science, business, trends, marketing aspects of our industry. So go take a look or listen. And of course, also let us know what you think about it. So in our second panel of the event, we will focus on the brand's perspective of sustainability and how they make it a big part of their business model. So for this conversation, I'm joined by Toni Carroll, the CEO and founder of My Beauty Luv, a luxury beauty supplements brand from South Africa, introducing the philosophy of slow beauty to the market. Hello, Toni. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Matisse. Thanks for having me.
And we are also joined by Firdevs Dursun, a marketing manager from Florêve Paris, a Nutricosmetics company that combines ancestral beauty rituals from Asia and cutting-edge French pharmaceuticals technologies. Hi, Firdevs, and welcome, and thank you for coming.
Hello, thank you for having me. And I should mention your French accent is great.
I have a French wife, in fact, but thank you. Great. And again, before we start, a call to our audience to submit any questions you might have throughout the debate. You can submit them directly in the chat box here in Zoom, and we'll take some time towards the end of our panel to answer them, or maybe if some will be fitting into our debate, we'll use them before. So if we are ready to start our brands conversation, let's go. So I have my first question, and if it's for both of you, Toni and Firdevs, to establish some context here. How do you understand sustainability, or better, how would you define a sustainable brand? And of course, if you can talk a little bit more about your company and what are your efforts in this sustainability department. And let's just start with Toni.
I must firstly just apologize for my background. I really battled to get your beautiful background on, so I'm sorry if I don't appear. I do come from a third world country, so, you know, that's my excuse.
I think it's going to be okay.
So sustainability, you know, it was really interesting listening to the previous ladies' chats, because coming from a brand point of view, I must just say I was really excited to be invited to this, because I come from a very interesting country, and all of the speakers that I saw are, you know, you guys are basically living in really beautiful first world countries. So to have a perspective from me, I think it's going to be quite interesting to hear what everybody has to say. But in terms of sustainability, personally, I had to agree with the ladies previously. I personally believe that sustainability is from the beginning to the end of the entire process, from ingredient sourcing to how the ingredients are manufactured, the communities that are involved, how the environment is impacted with that manufacturing, to the transportation, to your packaging. It's the whole story. Unfortunately, it's not always easy to do that as a brand. We do run the risk of, as we heard, greenwashing and making all these wild, crazy statements and claims about your product. So essentially, sustainability, in where I come from and what I currently am experiencing in the marketplace, is with one or more components of your product being sustainably sourced, whether it's the ingredient, whether it's the packaging component, whether it's you're supporting a local community, or whether you've got some kind of environmental outreach program. That's also kind of what I understand it to be currently in the brand landscape and what brands are adopting under the sustainability banner. So yeah, that's my understanding on sustainability. I can speak about my brand now, or maybe Devs wants to give her a view on sustainability before I go on a whole spiel about my brand.
Yeah, okay. I will give my opinion then. I would love to hear from about your brand. I'm totally interested, especially the bottle. So you have to tell me all about it.
Yeah.
So from my aspect, actually, I totally agree what Toni says. Just from the previous speakers, I had one point that I did not disagree, which is local sourcing is not a part of sustainability. I will get to that. So yes, simply sustainability is all about caring today as much as caring for the future. So of course, it's an omni-channel managing process. It is not only about just packaging. It's not only about sourcing. It's not about adding a social little site to your project to make it more fancy. It should be wholesome. That's true. If I have to give an example, I'm not going to explain the brand, but just to give an example from our brand, we are unfortunately currently using recycled plastic, but we are changing the entire packaging to recycled cartons instead of plastics, because if you could take a look, Florêve proposes single ampoules in glass. So we really have to protect them very well. That's why initially we have been proposed by plastic packaging. But since I started my collaboration, my working with Florêve, we are pushing more through the sustainable packaging side. We notice what we miss and we try to keep up with that. And about the sustainable sourcing, I totally believe sourcing locally is actually an act of sustainability, because we are in a global world, what is the most important thing is to make profit for nearly everyone, because that's what business for. So sourcing something from to the end of the world can be even cheaper for us, because we have some countries like, for example, China, or India for cheaper sourcing. But if someone, instead of choosing to source cheaper in order to increase the margin, if someone is choosing to buy expensive, especially I'm talking about France, maybe you already heard in French, anything can cost nearly 3 times more. If someone is specifically choosing that, it is not, it's specifically because not after profit, but after another reason, which is actually sustainability.
Great. Toni, before you, in your previous answer, you said, so you either are or you're not sustainable. So can you talk a little bit more about your efforts and how far along with that do you go with your brand?
Yeah, it's it's a journey, and I think it's not a one size fits all. I think it really depends on the country you're in, the demographics you're targeting, the socioeconomic climates, the geographical considerations. So for us, we started off with we've started off with glass bottles. For me, that not only did I want it to have the beauty and the aesthetic appeal, but for me, I wanted to be able to offer something that wasn't in plastic. It was important to me, not to say that I'm a sustainable brand, but to be able to say that I offer glass packaging that can be recycled, it can be reloved, it can be reused. So I have also worded it in a little bit of a different way. And I'm now going to go back to the drawing board and check everything after listening to the previous ladies. And so I've learned a lot from them just in this session. So that was the first thing. Sourcing of ingredients, we've tried absolutely our best to be able to get within our means and within our, within our budget, within our strategy, within in taking the business forward. We're busy sourcing the best version of the ingredient that we can get. And by that I mean, if it's a formula that's got 4 ingredients, are we able to get the best of those 4 ingredients? First option is, are they sustainably sourced? Are they ethically sourced? Are they organic? Is there no harm involved in making those ingredients? Where do they come from? What is the story behind them? That's all very, very important to me personally, and it's very important to the brand. And, you mentioned slow beauty, and that's, I call the brand more of a slow beauty brand, because everything we do, we take our time. We take our time in researching, we take our time in developing, we take our time in getting the relationships with our suppliers. That is also very important for me. And I find that's an integral part of the business. Just that open communication. We take our time in putting a product to market, everything that's done around the product. So this whole slow beauty, artisanal approach to creating a Nutricosmetic is what my brand stands for. I also think that, no matter what term we give this movement, because it's actually a movement, whether we call it green or sustainable or ethical or whatever, it all stems from a deep love for life, a deep love for nature, a deep love for the planet, and the fact that we understand that it is fragile and that we understand that we need to take care of it. So if that's where it starts for the brand, I think that it will become a natural process for whether it's just one element that is, they can say is sustainable or as sustainable as possible, the journey that they will take, and I'm talking about my own brand as well, to the final point where it can now be called 100% sustainable. It's a journey that is actually quite exciting. And it's a journey that we are willing to take and that we are taking at the moment, because we do want to be able to proudly say one day, oh, I am actually a sustainable brand, which is a very big claim at the moment. So luckily, I don't really call myself that just yet. Yeah, if there's one thing for me, the sourcing of the ingredient for me is the most precious part of the journey, and it's the most important part for us. Yes, the packaging is 100%, but that's almost become passé now for me. So, and in our country especially, people will literally just look at the packaging. They haven't really gone further than the packaging. So here in South Africa, people say, oh, we're sustainable because we don't use plastic. And, oh, yeah, you're, it's still a long way to go. But the exciting thing is that consumers are becoming, every month the consumers are becoming far more aware, and they are starting to question and do their own research, which is fantastic. So, it's going to put a lot of pressure on brands to be able to almost prove that, they're making all this greenwashing that's going on and all these claims, which is a good thing. And all the regulations that are becoming stricter and stricter. So, yeah, I think for me, if the intention is to make a beauty product, then the whole journey and the whole sourcing has to be beautiful. If you think about it, there's only three places where human beings get things to ingest, and that is our soil, it's our water, and it's our ocean. And those three things are always under threat. That, you know, we know that they're in peril. We know that there's problems going on. So for me, if that's where our ingestible products are coming from, that they have to be beautiful. They have to be looked after. So I can't be creating a beauty product and where I'm getting it from is not beautiful. That it's really boils down, like, to me, that it's that simple. And I have to also be able to go to bed at night and wake up and know that I'm really not doing harm, or doing the least amount of harm possible. And that's how I create my products. That's how I live my life. And I think in the long run, Matisse, I think in the long run, when consumers become even more aware, I think they're going to be able to feel that from brands intrinsically. When they pick up a product off the shelf, there's a sixth sense, if I can describe it, that they know and they can feel, wow, there's really love and there's care in this product. I can see it, I can feel it, I'm drawn to it. When I use the product, I just feel so much better. You know, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And I think there's you know, some people poo-poo that and they think, oh, well, you know, that's all, you know, rubbish. I don't think so. I honestly believe that subtle energy exchange, that the intention there is really to just put out the best product possible. I think the customers can pick that up. And I think in the long run, it's gonna kind of cut the brands that are doing this just on the bandwagon, just to be cool, and, oh, we're, you know, they're the ones that actually mean it, and that they actually rather risk certain things in their business to be able to proudly say, well, you know, we are gearing up, we are trying to be as sustainable as possible. And like the girl said, just be honest, you know, just be honest about it and be open and be authentic. People prefer that.
Yeah, and you said what I really loved when you said that this sustainability is it's a journey. So I would also like to hear a bit more about the Florêve Paris journey of how do you approach it? How do you make it a part of your business?
Actually, as I mentioned just earlier, for us, we recently, the recent initiative we take is to change the entire packaging line. And apart from that, we choose our partners in the same mindset as ours. So as Toni mentioned, it's important to from where you get your products exactly, the raw materials. So for example, in some of our products, we have acacia fibers and baobab fibers, and they do not exist in France. So we have to work with, again, French company, but who brings them from the countries that they are able to grow. But there are several companies who can propose this service, but the one we chose is specifically putting a sustainability project on that they have their own farms, that they empowering women in the villages who works in the collection of the acacia products for the brand. So we use specifically this kind of collaborations to make sure that we are on the same page. I mean, because business is not only about me and my brand, but we are actually a chain of businesses doing a lot of interaction in between us. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to mention. Yeah.
Okay.
Apart from that, yeah.
Great. And I would like to touch on a bit of a different note here, because and this might be a bit of my personal opinion, but like for me, sustainability also means that sustainability from the business standpoint. Do you think that in pursuit of sustainability, could we, because before we heard from Jennifer that actually being more sustainable could actually like lower our customer acquisition costs. Do you maybe like see that in your business, or can sustainability also cost us a lot of money that actually could hurt our business and business sustainability? What is your opinion on that?
Okay, I'll go first here. I personally have seen that, and I personally believe that the smaller indie brands are actually the ones championing this entire movement. The large, massive, multi-billion-dollar brands, I think they've put it into their business strategy, and in the next 5 or 10 or 20 years, they're working on being 80% or 50%, whatever. But I actually think it's quite exciting, and I think there's more opportunity for smaller brands, indie brands, beauty brands out there to be able to be sustainable for various reasons. They're agile, they can pivot quickly without it actually costing too much. They can be more experimental with their packaging. They can be more experimental with their ingredients, with their marketing campaigns. They're not bogged down by all this bureaucracy that these massive multinationals have. And I mean, I don't know what you guys have seen out there, but certainly here it's the smaller brands that are the ones that are really spearheading. Firstly, Nutricosmetics, 100% Nutricosmetics in South Africa are all small brands. The larger brands are only now, a couple of years later starting to, it's almost like they've watched the marketplace and now they're going to copycat everyone, but still they seem a little bit disingenuous. They don't have that cool aspect that, and what we found is, and what we heard earlier is that people want to support smaller businesses. They want to support the small brands. So I think it's going to boil down to actually how you sustainably manage your business and how you can sustain taking those calculated risks where it's still, being able to run your business. But without a doubt, I think we're still going to continue to see the smaller brands, the indie brands, the cult brands, just getting better and better and better, and more of them on the scene. We've already seen an explosion of them. And, Nutricosmetics is still the baby, in the whole cosmetic beauty category. I mean, Nutricosmetics is brand new. That's why it's so exciting. I do think it's easier. I think it's going to be a lot easier for us than any of the larger, bigger companies to be able to experiment almost with sustainability. And hopefully, if it works, being able to actually sustain it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. that is actually like the idea of my question, because sometimes, especially for let's say older brands and older companies who are introducing sustainability into their practices, they often complain that like this costs a lot and it's hurting their margins and everything. So yeah, that's why I asked this. And also Firdevs, what do you think about this? Does it help your business or it hurts it in a way also?
Actually, I totally think it helps, but it also depends on the market. So I'm working in different countries, but not every country has the same understanding or same sensitivity to sustainability. In order for when we are talking about European markets, I totally think it's a must-have. It's nearly impossible to get into the market, to have a big market share in a country like France or Germany or Netherlands or Belgium without a sustainable background or without any environmental conscious option. I mean, in some cases, it is true that it might hurt the margins, but just like you said, if the brand already started the journey of their own journey with this mindset, they have been already calculated this through their prices. But for a big company, like if we want to talk about L'Oreal, they can turn into sustainability. It's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also, we've seen with these big brands. I'm just jumping in here. We've seen with these big brands, like the L'Oreal, they will have a range that they will then launch, just one range, and there's hundreds of thousands of products that they have. They'll have one range to almost make them seem like they're making the effort to do it. And I'm sure that they are absolutely aware that they need to start implementing it, but it's going to be very slow and very long for them. I don't see it, I don't see them being able to innovate that quickly to get their entire range and all the brands that they own to be able to fall in line. It's going to be a long process. And that actually is great for small brands like mine, that we have that difference, that we can compete on a totally different level. We can be very creative, we can be very innovative, and we can get the work done quickly. And we can also talk more conversationally and with our target audience, and we can, form more of a community a lot quicker around these values that speak to our community. And we can do that quickly, and we can do it fairly without having to fork out millions of dollars worth of marketing or advertising. So,
yeah. And this, as I see it, basically, if you go and you start building your brand in a sustainable fashion from the beginning, it can work way better than like trying to change a brand that is not necessarily built sustainably later. And here I would like to do a little bit of a segue, and I believe that this is actually because you don't try to convert your existing audience. You're building it in this ethos of sustainability from the beginning. And my next question is, like, from the first hand as brands, how big of a factor do you believe sustainability is in consumers' buying decisions? Because we heard before, I think it was mentioned that consumers are willing to pay almost a quarter more for more sustainable products. How do you see that? How do you see that from your own experience as brands?
So certainly in this marketplace, it's huge. It's huge. It's a buzzword, and I'm talking about within the demographic that firstly can afford these kind of products, which is not very large. But even so, if you look at just in the media and you look at all our grocery stores, sustainability is becoming really large. I mean, it's becoming huge globally. We all know this. But speaking locally in my marketplace, the retailers here, so our grocery stores, if I could call them that, our retailers have started to implement sustainable practices, renewable energy. They're upgrading their packaging. They're starting to use better ingredients. They're way more eco-conscious, and that started many years ago. And that in this country has actually made the consumer far more aware and conscious of these buzzwords, sustainability, organic, all these things. So that is now filtered into the cosmetic and the beauty industry here. So all the new brands that are coming out, and there's a lot in this country. It's very easy to be an entrepreneur in South Africa. There's one amazing blessing we have. So it's easy to create a product and put it on a shelf here. There's not a lot of regulation around it. So we're seeing lots of products come out, and they're all ticking these certain boxes. So yeah, it is already becoming a decision factor in this country when people are making a purchase. In terms of the price of it, everything here that's organic, that's natural, is already expensive. It's already at a high premium price here, regardless of what it is. It always has been. So these new sustainable, I use that loosely, as you know, products coming out, they're all priced at a premium, and people are buying them. They know they've been they geared up to, they know that if a product's gonna be more expensive, they're so used to it, just from having shopped that way for so long in the other stores that started to introduce the concept. So here it's a given. It's more expensive. People expect to pay more. They are paying more, but also within reason. Definitely within reason. There's a sweet spot. If they think that they're getting totally ripped off, they simply won't buy it. And I'm sure that's a worldwide thing. I don't think that's just for this country. But yeah, I mean, there has been research that's gone out. I mean, there's lots of research that has documented that people are willing to pay a premium for sustainable labeled products, organic products, greener products, and they almost expect it now. I actually have a feeling that it's become such a perception that if it's not more expensive, they question it. They're like, well, is it actually really, sustainable or green or organic or whatever? They're like, oh no, it can't be good. I'm actually want to buy the more expensive product. So be conditioned to pay a premium, 100%.
And you, Firdevs, like, what do you see from the market? Is sustainability becoming a big factor for consumers?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Toni said. And from what I observe from European market, that it's getting bigger and bigger, more share from consumers' daily purchases. And I've seen recently that there's a report from Nielsen that says 66% of global customers are willing to pay more for environmental and social impact. So that is for sure true. And as Toni said, it is mostly coming in a higher cost. So from a business aspect, adding an extra cost for organic or for more bio products, which is normal because it increases the cost for us. But we have to also consider, for example, I'm going to go from environmental side and then social side. So from the environmental side, okay, all of the Europe is buying sustainable 100% organic products. They can pay more, and they do pay more. But we also shouldn't forget that it's not something that we can achieve only with a small group of people, but we need to expand this as much as we can. So if you have recently seen any of the pollution reports, it's caused, a biggest part is caused by some Asian countries, which are very good at production, but they cause a lot of damage. And one of them in specific, India, causes a damage to our oceans more than the rest of the world. So this is exactly why this idea of sustainability, consumer ecologic, is more important to also be price effective. So I want to give an example. Recently in France, there was a TV show called Represent. It simply talks about a Franco-American man. It's a regular Franco-American man, and by chance he becomes a president candidate. And one of his promises is to supply organic food for everyone. And in the movie, in the show, most of his voters are actually middle or down class people, so people who cannot actually afford. And he wins the elections. So what does this tell us? It means everyone wants to consume accessible bio or organic food. So for me, from my aspect, I recently searched on that too, is whoever can find a way to healthy or biologic or sustainable food accessible for everyone can actually be the disrupt in the entire sector. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's it would be such a wonderful world to live in if that became the absolute norm. We all are humans that have the right to wholesome, amazing food. And I absolutely agree with you. It would be wonderful. It would do away with a lot of problems, let me tell you. So if you find that person, I will vote for them.
Yeah. Basically, what I get from this conversation is if this becomes kind of a new standard, like it's just going to be also the new normal. Also, the prices, like if this is the new standard, this is also going to be the normal price. And I think we already touched this, but like my next question is, can sustainability actually be a brand main, or let's say one of the main value propositions? Do you believe that today you can build a brand around sustainability as like a major value proposition in, let's say, in 2024? Or is it still, we're not there yet from the consumer demand, let's say, that it would be one of the main value propositions?
But Devs, I'm going to make you go first.
Oh, okay. No problem. Actually, regarding where we are right now, I'm talking geographically. For a country, for a company in Europe, yes, this is definitely a main value, and this is definitely a game changer in compared to a company who doesn't have any sustainability efforts. But again, it's very relative to the geography for now. But I believe, as in the previous speakers, Miss Mojgan, she was mentioning some regulations. So since these regulations are increasing all around the world, and people are getting more and more involved in how to make it better, because I mean, to be honest, we have to. When you check the news every day, you see a crazy climate storm, or it can be flood or anything. I mean, these are all actually coming from this root issue that if we are not taking care of our environment, we will see the results. And even though it costs us a lot, even though we have to pay a lot, I mean, I'm talking about product base from consumer aspect, we have to do it now. We have no more chance. So even the most undereducated people can see the result now, that it is easier to take a step, but I hope it's not too late.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I do think that sustainability is only going to become more popular. It's going to probably become more that people insist on it. I think they're going to be making more choices based on sustainability, and I think it's going to start filtering into a lot more of the market sectors, not just in our beauty and nutricosmetics. You know, we've seen it in fashion, we've seen it in clothing, we're seeing it in art, we're seeing it in so many other cultural places, even music, the way that they're making music now. I saw something the other day, sustainable music. I was like, what? So it's really, and it's good. The more people talk about it, the more it can become a normal part of everyday life. And it really, I think it really does start with you and how you see yourself, and how do you sustain yourself, how do you go about your day that you can sustain yourself and, you know, sustain your mood, sustain your energy levels, sustain your health. It always starts like that, you know. It's almost like character starts at home. Well, everything starts at home, and it all starts about how you treat yourself and how you treat the people around you, and filters out. So speaking on the broader spectrum of things. But yeah, it is the future, and as Firdevs said, it doesn't take a genius level or doctorate level of person to see what is happening in the world and to see what is happening to the planet. Everybody understands that. I mean, I live in a country where 40% are unemployed. We have the highest unemployment rate in the world. And yet, if you speak to somebody that's on the street begging, or you speak to people that really have no means and come from a really bad economic background, they all understand, they all know, we've spoken to them, we speak to people of those demographics often, and they all are aware that things are not right and things need to change in the environment. So it is I think in 2024, I see it progressing. Matisse, I actually see the traceability aspect of sustainability is going to become almost like whether this happens next year, whether this happens in 2025 or moving forward, it's almost going to be like sustainability 2.0, where the traceability aspect of it is going to become more highlighted. So I as a consumer, oh, you're sustainable. Okay, well, I want to trace where is your bot, how traceability, where is it getting manufactured? How is that blossom grown? Oh, wow, okay, who plucked it? I think it offers a more comprehensive view on like social issues, deforestation, climate change, all of those things, and the traceability aspect of sustainability, I personally think is going to become a little bit more the go-to. Sustainability, I feel, will eventually become almost the norm. It's going to become quite a commonplace, no longer buzzword. It's going to become part of everyday conversation, and it's going to become quite easy and normal to use because it's going to be filtering out everywhere. But I think the next level of that is, okay, well, what is the traceability of whatever that element is? And the accountability behind that traceability, all these words. But that's what I see, how I see it actually progressing or evolving, or is traceability is going to become a big thing going forward.
Yeah, and I think this is a beautiful note to end our conversation on. So basically, if I do a little bit of a recap, in the opinion of the brands, this should become the cost of entry. This should become the new standard, but also it should be done in a way that it's really provable and traceable and accountable in the end. Toni, Firdevs, thanks a lot for this conversation. I'm learning more and more in each panel. So I hope we can continue this conversation at another occasion. So thank you guys again for being
Thank you.
So this was our conversation of today's Nutricosmetics 2030 Sustainable Beauty Inside Out live event, where we discuss the brand perspective on sustainability and how they make it a part of their business. Another big thanks to our guests, Toni Carroll from My Beauty Luv and Firdevs Dursun from Florêve Paris, for providing their unique views on the topic. So we will take a short break again, about 5 minutes, and then we're back at it. So see you at 19:40, so 7:40. Before I made a mistake, I gave you 10 minutes more, so it's really 5 minutes now. Thank you, and see you in 5.